Hello and welcome to the second devlog of a game called Meeting Joe. It's been almost a year since the first devlog, and to be honest, for the last 10 or 11 months not much happened, but the last 4 weeks had been really productive. I've been diving into the concept, trying to find a new direction and actually make sense of what I want to develop. So as of now, the goal is to go for a mobile game and develop a fast-paced top-down zombie shooter with a bit of bullet hell vibes, and the goal is to have something that looks and feels a bit more like the good old Doom and Serious Sam The First Encounter series. Now, before I wanted to develop anything, I wanted to double check my assumptions that such a game is actually something that the market would want, that people might actually play. So I spent a lot of time just looking at the market, what other games are out there, how do zombie games in generally do, what are some of the preferences that people have, and is something niche that I'm trying to develop actually something that might be enjoyable for people. So the short answer is I think yes. I think it makes sense to develop this thing for a couple of reasons. In general, if you look at which mobile games sell well, which have a huge following, you will always find that mobile shooter genre in general is always among the top 5 categories in terms of revenue and players. So it is in the top ranks of just being an attractive market in general, or in the general genre. But it's also, if you go into further subsegments, like how do 2D zombie shooters play out, and generally those statistics are really well. I found maybe a handful of games that have between 10 and 50 million downloads and hundreds of thousands of reviews. So clearly there are people that enjoy a specific subsegment of those shooters, namely 2D zombie shooters. So yes, you can say that the market in general is big enough to be interesting. But more interestingly is also how many games are in that genre that I would compete with. If you join Candy Crush and you make a Candy Crush clone, there's millions of other competing products that look the same, or Tetris or Mega Bloks or whatever you call it. So I also want to double check how many specific zombie 2D shooters from top down are in there, and it's only a handful. I've played all of them. I can show a few snippets in the video just to give you a feeling of how it looks like, how it feels like, but they're more centered around either the kind of like building games where you build defenses and you smash zombies, or the very traditional of leveling up your character and huge levels, collecting stuff, unlocking weapons, and kind of a progression scheme. But I haven't found a single game that matches my mechanics of being heavily focused on these bullet hell ventures where you have increasing amount of bullets, it gets increasingly more difficult, bullets bouncing off left and right, and just this chaotic feeling of combat. So I think, yes, the market is big. There are very few games in that specific subgenre, and I would be the only one with that specific subsegment of, bullet hell zombie thingy, whatever it is. I have no name for it. And also, interestingly, most of the games that I've seen, some of those competing products, they look really good, right? Those are professional studios. But there's also one interesting exception, that Flat Zombie one. And if that game can reach 10 million downloads and have, 200,000 reviewers, with that quality, I think I can achieve the same. So yeah, aim high, but if that's the bar, then I can definitely reach that one. So anyway, that kind of like verified my assumption that it's something I can pursue that might make sense. But then I also want to check what is the expectations from the players, because I have never done any mobile game, so there's probably a few different expectations than the usual games that I drop from game jams, which just need to provide 10 minutes of entertainment and that's it. So first of all, the current state of the game only provides maybe 6-7 minutes of playtime. It's 3 levels, it's 1 type of zombies, 3 types of weapons, but not that much amazing game loop. So a core thing will be to think about the concept, the core game loop, how can I achieve good player retention, and provide incentives for people to come back and have more sessions and playtime. The goal will not be just to finish the game once, it should be for a mobile game for people to come back, have some kind of incentive of checking in occasionally, ideally have daily sessions. So there's a lot of thinking that I need to do on the mechanics and the core gameplay. And I think my priority will be on having a enjoyable game versus putting the commercialization or the monetization model in the front. There's nothing more annoying, I feel like, than, you know, just this squeezing consumers for their attention and just getting the last bit of attention squeezed into some stupid advertisements and just having pay to win models and watching ads every 2 seconds. That just really annoys me. So the core thing is develop a good game that just happens to be on mobile, that happens to have a little bit of monetization, just so you know, I have some kind of financial benefit from it. But that will be the thing. How exactly the game will look, what exactly the core game loop will be, how I will adjust it, I'm not 100% sure. I have a long-winded document where I try to collect my thoughts, think about the game loops. I studied a lot of those existing games for reference. I also played a bit more of Doom and Serious Sam just to get that feeling of what it was like to have really simple gameplay in terms of, you know what's going on, you know what's expected. You know, there's no huge story in any of those games. I mean, there is a bit, but it's not about the story. It's not about the achievements. It's not about anything. It's just getting in there, doing your stuff, you know, shooting weird running guys with their heads in their head and just exploding randomly across you. So just that feeling of instantly knowing what's to do, you know, just like in Rambo. Yes, there's a story, but it's not about the story. It's more about the simplicity, knowing what's expected in terms of gameplay. Just, you know, short sections of gameplay, quick action, not a lot of distracting user interfaces. Keep it very simple. So I won't go into kind of like the new big things I have planned, but I more or less wanted to give a bit of an update about the direction, where I want to go, and probably in the next devlog I'll show a little bit more about the implementation, because I need to check out a few things, right? I want to have some kind of monetization, so I need to test this. I need to translate the current controls into you know, mobile with 2 virtual sticks. I have never done it, so it needs to be feeling really snappy and perfectly capable to move and maneuver and shoot and aim perfectly, because combat will be the key mechanic. And I also have never really done a complex, I guess, coding architecture. I was always using spaghetti code for all of my game jams, but now I need to think about it, need to implement some good ways and then split among the different scripts to make sure that I have some kind of ability to introduce different maybe modifiers for the game, or you know, change certain parameters throughout the game and then introduce some achievements. So I can't just dump all the code into 2 scripts and hope for the best. It needs to be actually proper coding, which scares me a little bit, but we'll get there. So that was just a quick update on the direction, on some of the things I think I need to achieve. But the next one will definitely show a bit more how I translate some of the mechanics and my thinking into the actual game. And yeah, hopefully the next devlog won't be 11 months. So thanks for staying tuned and see you soon.